I don't know how to feel about this race, guys. I don't know if it's good, but it's not bad. I don't know. This was a weird race to say the least. But hey, Chevy came to play. Yo, what is up, everyone? My name is Jack Krause, and welcome back to the episode of MDK Victory Stop. The 2020 GlobalBowling.com 235 from the Daytona road course just wrapped up, and Chase Elliott goes to victory lane for the third consecutive time on a road course, and he scores his second win, I believe, of 2020. Now, the race itself didn't really feature that much action. It was sort of again, it wasn't really a snooze fest, but nothing really happened. It was sort of in the middle, I guess you could say. Really, the tale of this story was between Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, and a mixture of Martin Truex Jr. So let's not waste any time and go over this race. But I should warn you, it's going to be very quick, I should say. So of course, heading into this race, everyone was so worried about this being a wreckfest because, again, no practice, no qualifying, first time entering this race. But surprisingly, it was very calm. I was really shocked to see this. So Harvick and Hamlin, they started up front. Hamlin quickly got on front with teammate Kyle Busch right behind him. Kevin Harvick had just a bad day. He had a really bad day. Fell back to fourth after, I think, 1 or 2 laps. And then after that, Harvick's day just started to get worse and worse and worse. So the first incident of the day, I guess you could say, takes place with Kyle Busch, and this is on lap number 2. He was going for the race lead on the backstretch chicane, but then flat spots the left front tire. And then on that same lap, I believe, entering the final chicane, the one off of turn number 4, he flat spots again. 1 lap later, I should say. And because of that, it was just too much for the tires, and he would have to forfeit, I believe, his second spot to Denny Hamlin and come out to pit road 1 lap later for a 4-tire pit stop. And let me just say, that'd be the least of Kyle Busch's problems as we head on later into the race. I mean, Kyle had a fast car. He had a really fast car, but my God, this dude's luck is unbelievable. So with 6 laps to go in stage 1, Denny Hamlin is out in front, but all of a sudden his teammate Martin Truex Jr. starts to charge along and starts to close down the gap. And then we get to this point of the racetrack, which I believe is 1 or 2 turns before NASCAR turn number 1, battling for the lead. Hamlin makes contact with Truex, trying to perform a crossover move, suffers a left front tire rub, and would have to forfeit the lead and would pit that very lap. And then we started to see pit strategy take place. You had some driver deciding, okay, do I go for the stage win or do I set my car up ready for the race win? Well, multiple drivers like Harvick, Kurt Busch, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, and Martin Truex Jr., just to name a few, all pitted with around 3 to 2 laps to go. That would give the lead to Chase Elliott, and Elliott would win stage number 1. Joe Logano in second place. Jimmy Johnson, a very strong day for him in third. He's one of those drivers that is below the cut line that desperately needs points to fight his way into the top 16. Fourth is Clint Bowyer. Fifth is Matt DiBenedetto. Another 2 drivers that are trying to at least keep their position in the playoffs. Sixth is Eric Jones. Seventh, William Byron. He also had a really good day. Eighth is Martin Truex Jr. Ninth is Cole Custer, and Ryan Preece rounds out the top 10. Stage 2 began with Joey Logano out in front. For some odd reason, he decided not to pit, which, at least for a track like Daytona, even though when this season tires haven't really been that much of a factor, it's still a road course, so tires do mean a lot. Logano wasted no time. He dropped like a rock, quickly fell from 1st to 5th, not even after halfway through the first lap of the restart. And then, just like what we saw in stage 1, Denny Hamlin got out to a big lead, but then later, as the race went on, or at least as the stage went on, Truex started to close down the gap, and he was able to catch and pass Denny Hamlin with 9 laps to go, I should say, right before the final chicane. And then our first big, I guess you could say, moment took place during the race 4 laps ago in that very stage. This is when pit stops are just starting to finish. Martin Truex Jr. gets caught speeding, too fast exiting, and he will have to start at the tail end of the lead lap when stage 3 begins, because when NASCAR gave him the penalty, it was already 2 laps to go, so he couldn't come onto pit road because pit road is closed. So Denny Hamlin wins stage 2, and even though Martin Truex Jr. finished in the top 10, he did not score any stage points because of that penalty. So you had Bowyer in second, Blaney third, fourth William Byron, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in fifth, Ryan Preece in sixth, Chase Elliott seventh, eighth is Kevin Harvick, ninth Kurt Busch, and Corey LaJoie rounds out the top 10 for stage 2. So we start off stage 3, kind of exciting. Our first major incident take place on a restart, coming off of turn number 1, entering that little S area before entering the major right-hander in turn 3. Chris Rebel KOs Kevin Harvick, just punts him in the back end. Harvick spins. Somehow he slides up the racetrack back in front of traffic and does not hit anyone. I was in shock because I thought he was going to take out 3 or 4 cars in the process. I thought also Jimmy Johnson would be involved because it looked like he was going to T-bone the 48 car, but because Johnson arrived at Daytona with the actually good paint scheme, he doesn't get any bad luck. He got a good day. But yeah, Harvick's day, like I said earlier in the episode, would just get worse and worse. He would have to pit not too long after due to him suffering a vibration because of that incident. I don't know if it was directly because of it, but it happened right after he made contact with Bell. And then 30 laps ago, the red flag comes out. Not only for rain, but for lightning near the area. Rain was a factor, it looked like, later on in the race, or later on in the day, I should say, because this race scheduled to run at 3 o'clock, which was right around the time when thunderstorms or showers would take place, but we would not see any drop of rain in this race, just only a bit of lightning. Halted the race a bit, but this would actually help Harvick's case because, remember, he had a pit. If a caution didn't come out, he would have been screwed. So luckily, when that red flag came out and the caution procedure took place, Harvick was able to not get back in contention, but it would save his race, at least up to this point. So we got back to racing with Chase Elliott out in front. Remember, back in stage 2, he finished, I think, 7th or 8th because he pitted with around 3 or 4 laps to go, or else he would have won stage 2, but he's back for stage 3. And even though he was leading, a lot of people were looking at drivers like Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson. Kyle Busch was able to rebound from that incident on lap number 2 to get back into contention. Would get by Johnson and I believe also Denny Hamlin to take the second spot away. Also Jimmy Johnson in the mix. Remember, he hasn't won since Dover 2017. He also had a really fast car, was in the top 10 the entire day and was in the top 5 and then even in the top 3 for a good portion of stage 3, but you could tell he did not have the car for the long run. It looked like he only had a car for the short run, but it was still a really good day for Jimmy. But it looked like Kyle Busch might put up a threat to Chase Elliott. If not, then maybe Martrex Jr., because up to this point, no one was able to challenge Elliott. As soon as Elliott got out in front, he was gone. And that's when everything started to crumble apart for Kyle Busch. 18 laps ago, this is when during pit stops were taking place for the final time, Kyle Busch doesn't even try to make the last chicane on the racetrack, goes past and goes directly to pit road because he reports a problem, a mechanical issue. And you see on TV, the right front fire, or at least some part of the right rear wheel is on fire, or there's a major problem with it. Not too long after that, immediately the team says, we're done. They put the tire on Kyle's car, and Kyle takes it immediately to the garage with a reported brake rotor issue. He would rejoin the race not too long after, 6 laps later, in fact, but that would not be the end of Kyle Busch's problems. 5 laps ago in that race, this is when Elliott had a 10 or 11 second lead on Hamlin. Kyle Busch cuts a left front or left rear tire on the backstretch and would smack the outside wall, brings out the caution, and erases Elliott's 11-second lead. So then when pit stops come into play, all right, now the question is, do you pit or do you stay out? The logical thing to do would be to stay out. You have drivers like Eric Jones, Michael McDowell, and Joey Logano pit, but Logano, who was the highest of the 3, was back in 7th place. There was no way he was going to be able to make up that time, and he didn't. It was a good try to make something happen, but it was just not going to work, specifically with so little cars pitting. And on the restart, Chase Elliott got out in front. Him and Hamlin were able to get away from the rest of the pack of Johnson and Truex. And it looked like it might set up to be this sort of really interesting battle between Hamlin and Elliott, but Elliott was able to hold off Hamlin, and Elliott would win for the first time ever the inaugural Daytona road course for the NASCAR Cup Series. His second win, I believe, of 2020, the 8th win of his career, and the 3rd consecutive win for Chase Elliott on road courses. He won here, then won in the fall on the Charlotte Roval, and then earlier before that, I believe won on the road course at Watkins Glen. Yeah, so Chase Elliott is the man right now. I mean, I've never seen a driver dominate road courses like Chase Elliott has since Jeff Gordon in the 90s and early 2000s. Or you look at Tony Stewart in the mid-2000s. He was also a master on road courses, but it was incredible. It was really incredible to see Chase Elliott, how dominating he was. Because you have to understand, it was kind of surprising to see, though, at least from my perspective, because you have to understand, leading up into this race, Hendrick was completely off. But today, they were actually pretty good. Even Alex Bowman, who suffered a left rear tire issue, I think the tire nearly came apart earlier in the race, he was able to rebound and I think even get a top 10 finish. Yeah, it was a solid day for Hendrick Motorsports and the entire Chevrolet camp. They really put on a show here today. So let's take a look at the unofficial results from today's race. Chase Elliott wins, Denny Hamlin in second place. Third is Martrick Jr., fourth is Jimmy Johnson, and right at the top 5 is Chris Buescher. It's surprising to see him there in that 17 car. 6th is Clint Boyer. 7th is Kaz Grala in his first NASCAR Cup Series start. He's only the 3rd driver in NASCAR history to race the number 3 car since 1982. 7th place run, not too shabby, not too bad for the Boston boy. He actually led some laps. He led some laps in the 3 car during the final round of pit stops. Kept his nose clean, got a nice top 10 effort. Good job for Kaz Grala. 8th place is William Byron. This is very important for him because he needs to run really well in order to protect his 16th place spot in the NASCAR playoffs. 9th is Joe Logano and Michael McDowell round to the top 10 in 11th. 11th place is Eric Jones. 12th is Alex Bowman. 13th is Brad Keselowski. 14th, Kurt Busch and Matt DiBenedetto in 15th. 16th is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 17th is Kevin Harvick. Because the reason why he's back there in 17th was because I think during that last 30 laps or so, he spun right before NASCAR turn 1 and stalled the car for a little bit. So, yeah, Harvick, it was a very odd performance for the Ford team because we expect him, doesn't matter what type of track, under whatever conditions, we expect the Ford team to be up in front. And today was just not one of those days. 17th place for him. 18th is Tyler Reddick. 19th is Ty Dillon and Christopher Bell rounds up the top 20. And here's a few notables. 21st, or excuse me, I should say Newman in 19th, Ty Dillon 20th. Other notables, Christopher Bell 21st, Cole Custer 22nd, Amarola 24th, Wallace 25th, Kenta 26th, Blaney in 31st, and Kyle Busch 37th. Man, now Kyle Busch, he's not in jeopardy. I think he's only 99 points above the cut line, so he still has a bit of a gap. But when we took at the 5 drivers, or at least the 6 drivers, the 3 that are in and the 3 that are out, this is what it looks like. So before Michigan, or after Michigan, Byron had a 26-point gap. After today, he's now a 25-point gap. So even though Johnson, he had a really strong day, earned stage points, earned valuable points for his quest to make it into the playoffs, Byron also had a really, really good day. He also won stage points in stage 2, which is something Johnson did not do. So he was able to close that gap. And basically, Johnson and the 48 team left virtually not gaining anything. I mean, yeah, they got 1 point, but with a performance they had, they still only left with 1 point. Eric Jones, 35 points behind, and Tyler Reddick, 57 points behind in the 19th spot. Then final 3 races, doubleheader at Dover. Then we ended off with the Daytona International Speedway on the oval. A lot of people look at Johnson potentially maybe having a shot at getting a good run at Dover because he runs so well at that racetrack. But you have to understand the last time Johnson won at Dover was 2017, was his final win there, or at least up to this point in his career. So yeah, he's run really good there, but he hasn't had that much success since 2017. But we have to wait and see what happens there. Who knows? Maybe Johnson going from the black car to the white car, that might be good luck because there were multiple incidents I felt like if Johnson was in a black car, he would have been caught up in a wreck or had some sort of problem, but didn't. Had a nice top 5 day. So what are my thoughts from this race? It was weird. Again, like I said, it was weird. I was very shocked and actually quite glad that there was no really major issues. And when I mean major issues, there was very even little issues in terms of drivers missing the chicanes. I think Keselowski missed it twice, and I think Reddick missed it once. I think a couple more drivers also went off track, like Sten Barrett went off track a couple of times. But I think in terms of drivers missing either the backstretch chicane or the final chicane off of turn number 4, very little incidents. It was very odd to see. But again, it was surprising. Glad to see, but again, it was also surprising to see because everyone went into this race thinking wild card race, anything can happen, but at the end of the day, nothing really happened. The only thing that you can really take away from this is that Chevrolet really stepped up today, but you can also rebuttal that by saying it's a road course. You can't really depend on a road course to show if a driver or a team or manufacturer has stepped up to the plate, because Chevrolet, they have been known to run good on the road courses, so it's not surprising to see. But it was a nice change of pace from the usual storylines of Harvick and Hamlin dominating or Toyota dominating. It was a nice change of pace, but ultimately this race fell flat, I felt like. Again, not much happened, which I'm kind of glad. But at the same time, a lot of us expected much more from this race. The truck race was really, really fun to watch. ARCA was fun. This race felt more a bit like Xfinity, but to a lesser extent. If you watched the Xfinity race, it started off meh, then it got really good in the stage 2, and then had a chaotic finish. With the Cup race, stage 1, nothing. Stage 2, nothing. Stage 3, a bit of something. I don't know. I left. It was just a weird race. I don't know really how to describe it. In terms of giving it from a 1 to 10 rating, I give it a 5, maybe. I don't know. It was... Nothing happened, which I'm not bashing. I mean, I understand. Just because it's a road course, you're not going to get a really good race every single time. I get that, but still, it was just meh. I left feeling meh about that race. Also, apparently, I had turned off the TV right after Chase Elliott won. Apparently, so did NBC. They immediately cut their feed as soon as Chase Elliott won the race. I saw people on social media getting on NBC because apparently they were horrible this entire weekend. Their cameras were bad. The commentary just was not as exciting as we expected it to be. And them cutting automatically to nightly news. They didn't show burnout, no post-race interviews, no points, no playoffs, no update, no nothing like that. So, not a good day for NBC. But they're still better than Fox, all right? I don't care what you say. They're still much better than Fox. But, yeah, those are my thoughts from today's race. Fell flat on his face. Gave it a 5 out of 10. But what are your guys' thoughts from this race? Did you like it? Did you not? I really like to know your thoughts because I saw a lot of people on social media giving mixed feelings about it. Some people were, happy for it. Some were meh. Others were, ugh, this race sucked. But I did saw a report or tweet from Jeff Gluck that said that NASCAR is working on bringing the Daytona road course back in the future. So be on the lookout for that. But that's going to end this episode of MDK Victory Stop. Until next time, my name is Jack Cross from MDK, and I'll see you guys next time.